Imagine for a second that your company's servers just got completely wiped out.
Oh, man.
Right. Or maybe you just get a phone call that pulls the floor entirely out from under your life.
Yeah, that total system collapse moment.
Exactly. And your brain immediately does what it has been trained to do since childhood. It opens like 14 browser tabs.
You go straight into fix-it mode.
Yes. You start strategizing, you look for the angles, the backup plans, the emergency contact.
It's pure reflex.
But what if the very instinct that made you successful, I mean, your unmatched ability to manage and fix things, is the exact thing guaranteeing that you will fail this time?
It really is the ultimate modern reflex, isn't it? Like when the pressure hits, we immediately pivot to damage control.
We do.
We basically view our capacity to independently manage a crisis as the ultimate measure of our character.
And that feels like strength, right? Like it feels like taking charge.
Absolutely.
But today, we are going to challenge that assumption down to its absolute core. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
Today, we are unpacking a deeply personal theological essay from March 2026 by a writer named Joseph Bay. It's titled, I Believed, Therefore I Spoke, The Faith to Cry Out.
Such a fascinating piece.
It really is. Our mission today is to explore a completely countercultural realization about the nature of faith, vulnerability, and, what it truly means to be strong when you feel completely hopelessly surrounded.
And to really grasp the gravity of the solution we were going to talk about today, we first have to understand the sheer crushing weight of the pressure being described.
Right.
Because we aren't talking about a flat tire here or like a slightly annoying Tuesday. We are talking about total system collapse.
Yes, and the entry point for this is Psalm 118, which is an ancient text with some of the most vivid, visceral imagery of crisis you can find.
It's intense.
Very. The psalmist describes being completely surrounded, but it's not just a physical blockade. The text specifically says, they surrounded me like bees.
Which is terrifying.
And then it adds, you pushed me violently that I might fall, and mentions being quenched like a fire of thorns.
Yeah. Think about the psychology of that specific language, though.
Yeah.
Surrounded like bees conveys a threat that isn't just massive, it is erratic. It's swarming.
It's blinding.
Exactly, it's blinding. You can't just pull up a shield and block a swarm of bees because the threat is coming from every conceivable angle at the exact same time.
That makes so much sense.
And that phrase, quenched like a fire of thorns, introduces this incredibly chaotic, fast-burning, uncontrollable element. Thorns burn hot and fast. They crackle and pop unpredictably.
Whoa.
The writer's describing a state of absolute unmanageable panic.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because even if you aren't an ancient warrior facing down literal opposing nations, that sensation of being surrounded by bees is deeply, painfully relatable to you and me today.
Oh, without a doubt.
We've all been there. It's like trying to navigate a dark highway in the pouring rain and suddenly, like, all the warning lights on your dashboard flash red at the exact same time.
The absolute worst feeling.
Right. The GPS is screaming at you to turn, the engine is smoking, the brakes just went soft, and your phone is blowing up with a family emergency.
Just total cognitive overload.
Exactly. You can't just fix one thing. The entire system is in total collapse.
Existential overload, really. But what makes this ancient text so compelling is the reaction to that system collapse.
What do you mean?
Well, despite being violently pushed to the edge of ruin, the text describes a steel-hard trust that the Lord was helping him.
Oh, right.
This isn't a fragile, fair-weather optimism. It's a trust forged quite literally under the crushing pressure of the swarm.
And it's wild because this isn't just an isolated Old Testament warrior phenomenon. You see the exact same psychological pressure cooker centuries later in the New Testament.
Yeah, Bay points out a phenomenal thematic collision in his essay.
Through that reading plan, right?
Yes, the McShane Bible Reading Plan.
Yeah.
Which is essentially a schedule designed to help you read different, seemingly unrelated parts of the Bible simultaneously over the course of a year.
Oh, I love when that happens.
Right, so through this plan, these two distinct eras suddenly crash into each other. You have Psalm 118 on one side and the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 on the other.
The parallel language between the ancient king and the first century apostle is striking.
It really is. Paul talks about having a treasure in earthen vessels. He's referring to these fragile, easily broken human bodies we walk around in. And then he describes his own version of the swarming bees, being hard-pressed on every side, being perplexed, persecuted, and struck down but not destroyed.
Exactly the same spirit, surrounded, pressed, struck down, but somehow not destroyed.
They're drinking from the exact same well of experience.
But this connection between the ancient pressure of the psalmist and Paul's intense, hard-pressed reality leads to a linguistic sharp turn.
A really important one.
Right, because it changes the entire trajectory of how we understand their survival. Paul actually quotes the Old Testament in his letter, right?
He does.
In-
In 2 Corinthians 4.12, Paul does this fascinating quote within a quote. He writes, "And since we have the same spirit of faith, according to what is written, I believed and therefore I spoke, we also believe and therefore speak."
So he is directly quoting Psalm 116, verse 10.
Yes, but, and this is key, he doesn't use the original Hebrew text.
Right.
What's fascinating here is that Paul, writing to a Greek-speaking audience, relies on the Septuagint.
For those who might not know, what exactly is the Septo?
Oh, sure. So the Septuagint is the earliest extant Greek translation of the Old Testament Hebrew scriptures. It was the absolute standard translation for the Greek-speaking Jewish world at the time.
Got it.
And the reason this specific translation choice matters immensely is because the original Hebrew of that specific psalm is notoriously murky.
Murky how? Like the scholars don't know what the words mean.
It's more that the grammatical connection is a little loose. The Hebrew translates roughly to something like, I believed even when I said, or I believed for I will speak.
Oh, I see.
It leaves the exact relationship between the belief and the speech a bit open to interpretation. It's ambiguous.
But the Greek translation changes that.
Yes. The Septuagint sharpens that ambiguity into an absolute razor edge.
It forces a definitive stance.
Exactly. The Greek phrase translates directly to, I believed, therefore I spoke.
Therefore, that's a huge shift.
It establishes a direct, undeniable, and unbreakable causal chain. Because you believe, you open your mouth.
The belief actively produces the speech.
Right. It acts as a catalyst so powerful that it literally forces your mouth open.
Okay, if belief absolutely guarantees that you're going to speak, what exactly is the magnificent, victorious thing the psalmist is about to say?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because if the faith is that steel hard and the pressure is that intense, the words coming out of his mouth must be some incredible, earth-shattering battle cry.
Which is exactly the logical assumption to make.
Right.
If this is the ultimate manifestation of faith under extreme pressure, you'd expect to look up the full text of Psalm 116.mare and find a triumphant declaration.
Like, I will defeat my enemies.
Exactly. You'd expect something like, I will bless the Lord at all times, or some massive show of strength.
The classic stoic hero moment. The building is collapsing, the bees are swarming, and the hero just straightens his tie, looks at the camera, and delivers an unfazed one-liner.
I've got this.
Exactly, I've got this.
But when you actually read the full verse, it completely shatters that expectation.
What does it say?
It reads, I believed, therefore I spoke. I am greatly afflicted.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I am greatly afflicted. That is not a battle cry.
Not at all.
That is a raw, desperate cry for help.
It's an admission of total bankruptcy.
And I have to be honest, I want to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Because we are so deeply conditioned by movies, by literature, by corporate leadership seminars to view I am greatly afflicted as a sign of breaking.
A sign of failure.
Yes. If I'm leading a team and the project is going up in flames, I can't just stand up in the boardroom and yell, I am greatly afflicted.
They'd probably fire you.
Right. They need me to project confidence. We equate silence, stoicism, and self-management with strength. So how is admitting that you are completely out of your depth considered the ultimate proof of faith here?
It's a brilliant question because it highlights the exact friction between our modern cultural conditioning and the ancient theology we are looking at.
We think admitting defeat is fatalism.
We think it's just giving up. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of the essay's logic, we have to completely redefine our working definitions of faith and unbelief.
Okay, let's redefine them. Because normally if you ask someone on the street, unbelief just means you don't think God or a higher power exists.
Right, an intellectual stance.
Yeah.
But in the context of this pressure cooker, unbelief is far more insidious. Unbelief is actually what keeps you silent.
Wait, really?
Yes, unbelief is the voice in your head that says, help is not coming. God won't come through for me. Therefore, I must manage this crisis entirely by myself. Unbelief is trusting solely in your own resources, grinding through your own spreadsheets, and refusing to admit how desperate the situation is because you don't actually trust that anyone will catch you if you fall.
So silence, that stoic, I can handle it attitude that we are so incredibly proud of, is actually framed here as a symptom of deep unbelief.
Exactly. Think of it like a clenched fist. When a crisis hits, your instinct is to clench your fists around whatever tools, money, or intellect you have to fix it.
That makes a lot of sense.
As long as you are gripping your own solutions, your hands are full. You literally cannot receive rescue because you are too busy holding on to your own lifelines.
So where does faith come in?
Faith, the kind described in the text, says, I believe a power greater than myself is real, present, and good.
Okay.
And therefore, because I believe that health is actually available, I can finally afford to drop my tools. I will tell him exactly how desperate, messy, and broken I am right now.
This is what the essay refers to as the cry-out principle, isn't it?
Yes, drawing from Psalm 34.
This poor man cried out and the Lord heard him.
Exactly. The cry itself is the hinge. The essay argues that reaching the point of crying out isn't a moment of weakness or laziness. It is the very mechanism that opens the door to deliverance.
But it requires the profound vulnerability to stop pretending you aren't afflicted.
You have to open the clenched fist.
But wait, how do we separate this cry-out principle from just pure laziness? If I just drop my spreadsheets and cry out, isn't that just absolving myself of responsibility?
It's a vital distinction. The text isn't advocating for apathy or a refusal to act.
Right.
It's addressing the source of your trust when your actions are no longer enough. Remember the context. Surrounded by bees, dashboard flashing red, brakes failing.
The total collapse.
Yes. When the system collapses, continuing to frantically push buttons on a broken dashboard isn't responsibility, it's delusion.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
The cry-out principle isn't about avoiding work when things are fine. It's about acknowledging reality when things are impossible. It's the transition from self-reliance to divine reliance.
That makes perfect sense, but actually applying it feels almost impossible. It pushes directly against the way modern society trains us to behave from the moment we can walk.
Oh, totally.
And I'm talking directly to you, the listener, right now. Because if you are the kind of person who tunes into a deep dive like this, you are a learner.
You like to gather information.
Exactly. You gather information, you listen to analysis, and you like to be prepared. When you face a problem, your deeply ingrained muscle memory is to fix it.
The essay offers a really sharp critique of our modern age on this exact point. We fundamentally worship self-sufficiency.
We really do.
From the Industrial Revolution to the modern self-help movement, the entire narrative of human progress has been about optimizing our way out of suffering.
We want to life hack our way out of the swarm of bees. We want a 5-step morning routine that makes us immune to crisis.
Yeah, and when the crisis inevitably comes, we try to, as the author brilliantly puts it, wring solutions out of our own brain.
Wring solutions out of our own brain. It's such a descriptive phrase.
It really is. We exhaust every single human option. We call our network, we consult experts, we run the calculations over and over.
And maybe, just maybe, we turn to God or a higher power in a sort of rote, perfunctory way, like saying a quick prayer.
Right. But while we are praying, our brain is still secretly running the math. We still have the backup plans in our back pocket.
So what does this all mean for us today? How do we actually stop leaning on our own understanding when it's the only way we know how to operate? Because throwing away the backup plans feels terrifying.
It is terrifying. The essay brings in a very famous counterpoint from the book of Proverbs to address this.
Proverbs 3.5 to 6, right?
Yes. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding.
Such a well-known verse.
It is, but the author argues that the alternative to trusting God isn't usually some spectacular, dramatic rebellion.
Yeah.
No. The alternative to trusting God is simply trusting your own understanding.
It's the quiet, boring rebellion of just doing it yourself.
Precisely. And the antidote to that self-sufficiency isn't just treating a cry for help as a last resort once you've tried everything else.
What is it then?
The first step to actual deliverance is a genuine, agonizing acknowledgement of your limits. It's opening your hands, dropping the armor, and saying, I am in great distress. I do not have what this requires.
And what's profound here is that this takes so much more courage than fighting.
It really does.
It takes significantly more faith to open your hands and admit bankruptcy than it does to keep fighting a losing battle in armor that is crushing you.
Because it requires immense trust that the universe or the God you are crying out to is actually there, actually listening, and actually powerful enough to catch you when you stop treading water.
Which brings us right back to the Apostle Paul.
The guy with the earthen vessels.
Right.
Paul understood this perfectly. He faced death daily. He was physically, emotionally, and socially hard-pressed on every side.
And his response wasn't to maintain a stiff upper lip.
Not at all.
Yeah.
He didn't write letters to the early churches trying to project an image of an invincible, self-sufficient supermissionary.
He didn't pretend the bees weren't swarming.
He believed, and therefore he spoke. He cried out.
He let his affliction be known. He documented his despair for all of history to read.
He kept preaching and moving forward, but he did it with a mouth that intimately knew suffering.
Wow.
His faith allowed him to honestly admit his affliction, knowing the God who raises the dead wasn't far away. That ultimately is the true spirit of faith the essay is trying to uncover.
It's not a triumphalist, fake-it-till-you-make-it attitude that has absolutely no room for pain or failure.
Exactly. It's the kind of faith that says, I am greatly afflicted, the dashboard is entirely red, and therefore I will take it straight to the only one who can fix the system.
That is where the actual deliverance begins. Not with a cinematic battle cry, but with an honest, desperately vulnerable cry for help.
The mechanism of rescue requires you to stop trying to rescue yourself.
To recap the incredible journey we've been on today, we started with the violent systemic pressure of Psalm 118, that overwhelming sensation of being surrounded by bees and the total collapse of our ability to cope.
A feeling we all know too well.
Right. And then we moved through the profound linguistic hinge of the Septuagint, discovering that true belief acts as a catalyst that absolutely demands speech.
I believed, therefore I spoke.
And finally, we arrived at the ultimate countercultural realization. Admitting complete desperation, opening our clenched fists, and crying out is actually the highest form of faith, not a failure of it.
It completely inverts the script on how we handle our darkest moments. The instinct to fix it yourself is the trap. The instinct to surrender is the escape hatch.
It really does flip everything upside down. Which brings us to a final thought I want to leave you with today.
Something for everyone to deeply mull over.
Yes, as you navigate the rest of your week, think about this. If true faith and true strength require the vulnerability to admit total affliction, how much unnecessary exhaustion are you carrying around right now just to maintain the illusion of self-sufficiency?
That's a heavy question.
Think about the sheer caloric energy it takes to pretend you aren't surrounded by bees.
It's exhausting.
Imagine how your relationships, your workplace dynamics, or even your own internal mental landscape might drastically shift if you stopped equating silence and managing it all by yourself with strength.
What if the strongest, most courageous thing you could possibly do today is simply drop the armor, open your hands, and admit that you are afflicted?
The door to your deliverance might just swing wide open the very moment you finally stop trying to pick the lock yourself.
Such a powerful thought to end on.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the things that feel like instincts, keep opening those clenched fists, and keep exploring.
We'll catch you next time.